another dry and windy day in paradise.
Face to all drivers. There's a situation developing at Ponderosa Elementary. There are 23 kids who are stranded. Is there anybody in the area that can pick them up? Is there anybody that can go and pick these kids up?
Matthew, you've been away from the camera for a few years. We haven't seen you act. So what lured you back with the story of Lost Bus and Kevin McKay?
Yeah. Paul Greengrass. And I immediately was taken to the story and the character, but then the 2 hours of the first call I had with Paul about how he works and how he wanted to work and how he wanted to create together excited me, and he lived up to that and did so. America was reminding me that I didn't realize how much I had missed acting until I did it again, and being on this movie. I say it was like a vacation. I don't mean it was sitting under a palm tree with a pina colada. I just mean having a singular focus and then a singular obsession with a character in a movie to act, and having a reverence for this craft. And to do that, be able to do that daily for 3 months was incredibly relaxing. Just not to compartmentalize anything else in my life besides my family and my role. That was a joy to do again.
America, what about for you playing Mary Ludwig?
Well, I too am a huge Paul Greengrass fan, even more so now that I've gone to work with him. But I was really drawn to the character journeys and the kind of core exploration of, surrender to this monstrous reality that's so much bigger than any of the characters. And, Mary getting to a place where she kind of had to reckon with the life she'd been living, and if she got another chance, what kind of life she would choose. And I really also was really moved by Kevin and Mary's trajectory towards one another, that they start as complete strangers, probably from, who knows? I mean, they assume all kinds of things about each other based on what your job is, what you're wearing, what your salary probably, they don't expect to have any kind of meaningful interaction when she gets on the bus. It's like 10 minutes and we're done. And for them to start in a place of like almost indifference of like who you are and what you mean to me, and then to experience and go through a transformative event in their lives and have to meet in this place where they're both stripped down. To me, it's such a beautiful human parable of like, that's all of us, and that's everyone you walk past. We're all going to meet the same end. We're all going to meet the same truth, and we'll have to reckon there in that way. So I thought that was a really beautiful crux.
I don't think you understand the urgency of our situation here.
Quietly, calmly, one single line. You know all of us are going to be there. It's going to take 10 minutes.
We're so used to seeing you in front of the camera, but you're producing Lost Bus. Tell us, how did this come to you? Why did you want to tell this story?
Well, this is one of those moments that you never forget in your life, right? I was at home in Idaho, where I live, with my husband, and I was reading the Washington Post. There was a review of the book Paradise by Lizzie Johnson about her time embedding with the people of Paradise, California, about the campfire in 2018. And there was a sidebar where it was the story of Kevin McKay, the school bus driver who volunteered to go pick up 22 kids along with the school teacher, Mary Ludwig. And then for 8 hours, no one knew what had happened to them. And I remember saying to my husband, well, that's the movie. That's the movie. And the next day, I didn't do anything. And then the next day I was driving to go visit my sister, and I was listening to NPR. And Scott Simon, Weekend Edition, said, my first guest today is Lizzie Johnson, author of Paradise. Lizzie, the book's great, fantastic. The story that really got me, Lizzie, was the story of Kevin McKay, the school bus driver. And I pulled my car over on the side of the road. I said, thank you, God. And I called Jason Blum. And I said, Jason, I'm sending you 2 links. I want to buy this book. I want to tell their story. I think it'll be the most important thing either one of us does in the movie business. And that's how the movie began.
You know, you watch this movie and you think of those images that we saw earlier this year coming out of LA, and you probably knew some people who were affected. What's that like for you, you know, to be putting a movie like this together and then seeing that almost happening?
Well, I live in Santa Monica. My husband and I just moved in our house a week ago after 8 months of being out of it from smoke damage. And we're in an area that survived. I can't tell you how many people I know who lost everything, their history, their family history. It made me terrified that it was happening again, and yet very gratified that somehow we were going to make a movie that was going to show, because you can't, you know, you can see, as you said, the images on the television, you can see this footage, and it just, until you're in the middle of it, you can't really understand it. But the most important thing to me in the whole process is really the town of Paradise, right? Town of Paradise, which was decimated, consumed by this horrific fire. But, you know, it's still a thriving, surviving community. There are still people that moved back there, lived there, stayed there. And what was crucial to me was that, you know, as the movie business, we made a movie, we're bringing it to the world, but then the movie, you know, at some point will go away. I mean, you'll always be able to watch it, but you know what I mean? And what was very important to me was that we as a creative community came together in a substantial way for the town of Paradise. And so Apple Original Films, Paul Greengrass, Jason Blum, Matthew McConaughey, America Ferrera, myself have come together to complete the memorial to the people who died, and for the town, a permanent memorial to be a place to gather. It's called a Hope Plaza, where there's going to be an opportunity to have something tangible that can bring the community together forever, beyond this fire, beyond this movie. And in a way, that makes me prouder that we as a group have come together to do that than the movie itself, even though the movie is it really speaks for itself. It's a masterwork by Paul, and I'm so glad that you felt that way.
Does acting in a movie like this change your opinion on heroism, courage, resilience? How do you come away from an experience making a movie like this changed? You
know, the definition of heroism is, there's so many of them, and people ask that all the time. What is it? And I don't know if it's even fair. Maybe it is fair to call people heroes, but listen, definitely heroic acts. And one consistent thing with the heroic act is someone that runs to a crisis instead of away from it. First responders, and I don't even mean just first responders in the hey, that's my title as a firefighter. I mean, them too, but I'm talking about some just normal people that find themselves in a circumstance. This was not on their plan for the day. Something unimaginable just happened, and they find themselves at a point where they have to make a decision. And the will to survive that people have. I think we have a lot more. I think we have a lot more in us than we give ourselves credit for, of how far we'll go to survive or be dependent on. You know, that can also give us a lot more will to survive. You find that as a parent, the will of what you would do, because you have children that are dependent on you. You usually do a lot more than even you do for yourself, you know?
For me, heroes have always been everyday people, like growing up my whole life. The people I viewed as heroes in my life were just a teacher, a friend's parent, you know, someone that stopped for a second to change someone else's day, whether they knew it or not, out of just sheer like humanity and presence and kindness. And so I've always had the view of heroes being everyday people amongst us. And you know, to me, I actually was really excited about the hero element of this, that Mary didn't choose to become a hero. Kevin they didn't want to be heroes. It's not something they chose. It's a moment that chose them and called them to rise to the occasion, whether they thought they could or not, whether they thought they had it in them or not. And I think that, that's kind of one of the things we're always playing with in the hero fables of like, we know that there's a part of that in us where we don't know who we would become in those circumstances, but we suspect, hope, wish, or maybe doubt that we make the right choice in those moments. And these are two people who made incredibly selfless choices to protect other people's children. And thank goodness their children were protected by others. So that's sort of the beautiful full circle of it.
Where do you need to get to?
My son's up there with his grandma. It's too late. I'm too late as a father.
It's not too late.